Hello chess friends and welcome to your Out of Chess channel and welcome to a very special tournament that started yesterday. Welcome to the FIDE Grand Prix in 2022. So this is now already one of the most important events of this year because the winner of the FIDE Grand Prix will have the opportunity to be even in the candidates in 2022. And when you're in the candidates, then you can of course win the candidates, and then you can also meet the world champion Magnus Carlsen for the throne for the world championship. So it's, I think, a great tournament for us. And the concept of the tournament is that we have now 4 groups of 4 players, so 16 players are participating, and the winner of each group will be then in the semifinals, and then of course will then have a knockout stage. So we're starting now the round 2. Yesterday I couldn't cover some games, I had to work my shift on my work, but let's start now with a beautiful and tactical game played by top grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura and top grandmaster Andrey Esipenko. So Hikaru Nakamura is back. I think it's a great thing for us that Hikaru is back in classical time format chess. If you don't know, Hikaru hasn't played now for 2 years over the board chess, so it was now a huge thing for us because Hikaru proved himself really in every particular time format. He's a great bullet rapid player. He's also a great classical time format chess player, but I think I can understand his decision why he hasn't played for 2 years over the board, because he has this big channel, he has a great channel, he's streaming so much, so sometimes I think you cannot really go everywhere, so you have to leave also something out of your progress. So if you I don't know, if you push yourself too hard, then you can also overload yourself. So that's why I think Hikaru Nakamura decided to step back where he's maybe slightly worst, because in this other time formats he's one of the best players in the board. Maybe in classical time format chess he didn't want to expose himself so much. So as I said, in my opinion, it's a decision that we can understand. But now he is finally back, and we're starting now, as I said, with a beautiful and tactical game played by Hikaru and Andrey Esipenko. So let's see now what happened. So here Hikaru opened with the move c4. Esipenko's response was e5. We have now the reverse Sicilian, the English opening. We have now knight to c3, knight to f6, knight to f3. E4 is of course not immediately such a good move because knight to g5 could happen, and then you could be vulnerable here around the square e4. So okay, there are plenty lines that you can play here. After move knight to f3, here Esipenko played now the move knight to c6. And okay, here Hikaru goes into the dragon Sicilian, but reverse sort of. Here he fianchettos his bishop. We have now, after move g3, a normal move here d5 by Esipenko. C takes d5, knight to d5, and after bishop to g2, we have reached sort of a position which is reverse sort of a Yugoslav attack. If you're familiar with the Yugoslav attack against the dragon Sicilian, now we have the reversed situation, because now white is playing sort of the dragon bishop, but the black is playing this Yugoslav attack formation. So here now, after move bishop to g2, in my opinion, there are only 2 good choices. You can play the move bishop to c5, or you can play the move knight to b6. Esipenko played now the move bishop to c5. After knight to b6, in my opinion, knight to b6 is slightly better. I like more this line when I play sometimes this reverse Sicilian setup. I like to play the move knight to b6 because from this square the knight can be very dangerous on c4, and we don't have this tension in the center of the board. So that's why it could be, I think, sort of a line that you can study if you have trouble maybe to play against the English opening. But here after move knight to b6, I think castling would be then their normal idea, and after something like bishop to e6, then d3, and you see now with the move f6 again, black builds sort of a Yugoslav attack formation. Now with the move queen to d7, even queenside castling can be a possibility, then maybe to trade off the light square bishop and similar stuff. So as I said, like in the reversed Yugoslav setups. But okay, here after move bishop to g2, Esipenko goes bishop to c5, and you could go now, you could try maybe some ideas after castling that Hikaru Nakamura played and castling by Esipenko. You could try here maybe the move knight to e5, but this line is really I think attractive. It's a really brilliant tactical line, but I think this line leads into equality. So I think if you want to win the game, you should not choose to play this line from white perspective. That's why Hikaru didn't play it, because this particular line lead into this after knight to e5, pardon me, here knight takes c3, b takes c3, and okay, you take, and then you have still this fort with the move d4, but after bishop to d6, and you takes, here I think we can agree that both players have now problems. First of all, the c3 is weak. Also, when we watch now this structure, rook to b1 could happen, then also the b7 is weak, but as I said, the engine gives here equal chances for both sides. And sorry, I wanted to tell you also something that I use now. It's off topic a little bit. I like really this open broadcast that you can use on Lichess. So you see now I'm using now this analysis from Lichess, and the cool part is that you have always here the opportunity to see these names of players, and I can also watch immediately what's going on now on some other boards. So it's really great thing what Lichess did. So this live broadcast that they're giving us here, it's really brilliant thing. As I said, if you want to follow somewhere this tournament, please choose Lichess. I think it has a brilliant coverage. So that was a little bit off topic, sorry about that. So here let's go back to the game. So as we said, after move castling, you could try this idea knight to e5 here, and then with the move d4 create this fork against the bishop and the knight. But here Hikaru decides to spice up the game a little bit with the move queen to c2, and queen to c2 is a tricky move, because you can maybe play a slightly inaccurate move knight to b5. This would be very risky, as then you get queen to e4. You see now the e5 becomes a huge problem, and the problem is you cannot kick away the queen with the move f5, because you get queen to c4 and the bishop is hanging. So what you could do, instead of this move f5, you could maybe try the move g6, but you see now I think with knight to e5 you lose the pawn, and the problem is now even if you do something else, even if you play maybe bishop to e6, then with the move a6 a3 you kick away the knight has to move now, and you see now with b4 b5 black loses the piece. So it's really tricky already what Hikaru Nakamura prepared here. So there are really great tactical options for both sides in an early stage of the game. So that's why with the move queen to c2 you have to be careful. Knight to b5 seems tempting, but it's actually not the best of moves that black can play. So here after move knight to queen to c2, we have knight to f6 by Esipenko. Here we have a3, finally trying to kick away this bishop from this active square, and now we have knight to d4. We have knight takes d4, we have e takes d4, and now a beautiful move here by Hikaru Nakamura, b4. And you can now be the judge of this position. In my opinion, taking out the knight is not a good choice here for black, because then you can have this one d takes c5. Okay, you take out the pawn on d2, bishop to d2, but that's now a beautiful pawn structure for a bishop pair. I think in this particular position black is strategically lost, because bishops love always asymmetrical pawn structure. What I mean about the asymmetrical pawn structure is that we have here 2 versus 3, and we have here 4 versus 3 on the king side. So we don't have a pawn symmetry. The pawn symmetry it would be if we would have maybe 3 pawns on the queen side and 3 pawns for black on the queen side, and also maybe 2 pawns for white on the king side, and maybe also 2 pawns for white on the king side. So that's why this asymmetrical position here allows white now to create further progress on the b file. We can also use a4, a5, a6 maybe in order to open the position. The bishop can come active into the game on f4. So this is a beautiful open position for the bishop pair. So that's why this idea after move b4 to take out the knight wouldn't be a good idea. And here Esipenko doesn't react correctly. He plays now the move bishop to b6, and it's now a huge problem. The problem is about that this bishop can be still chased with the knight on a4. So that's why here a better idea was to play bishop to e7. In this particular scenario you have to play something like knight to a4, and okay, you could have your fun by playing knight to c5, but this pawn on d4 is I think an annoying one. It creates very important spaces for black in the continuation of the game, and at least the black is continuing still the game with the powerful bishop pair. But Esipenko, as I said, plays a slightly inaccurate move, allows now here Hikaru Nakamura to chase the bishop. And again, Esipenko has now the opportunity to play here's I don't know, it's maybe not a good move when it comes to maybe pawn structures, but I think the d3 move is sort of a must move that Esipenko has to play now. At least you're provoking some weaknesses. After something e takes d3, you can continue the pressure with the move bishop to f5, and after knight to c5 in order to protect the pawn here on d3, then bishop to c5, queen to c4. And after bishop to d3, maybe black can hang on to this position because, okay, still black has a powerful, pardon me, white has a powerful bishop pair, but at least here the d2 is weak, at least the knight can come into the game. So in my opinion, this would be sort of a line that maybe black can hold. But here after move knight to a4, here we have rook to e8 by Esipenko, and now Hikaru simply takes. Knight takes b6, we have a takes b6, we have now the move e3, and now d3. This was now a risky choice again by Esipenko, but again, if you take, we have d takes e3 maybe here, then d takes e3 again, bishop to b2 will happen. You see bishop to g2 is already there. Both of these bishops will be really on active diagonal, so it's, I think, again a beautiful position for the bishop pair. After move e3, here Esipenko plays now d3, but now queen to c3, here comes the queen into the game. We have knight to e4, and now queen to c4. We have bishop to f5 here by Esipenko. He develops now his pieces, and now a beautiful move by Hikaru Nakamura, bishop to b2. Why is that cool? Because if you try knight takes d2, then you get queen to c3. We have this attack against the knight. If you move the knight, then you get checkmated on g7. You see the beauty of the bishop pair in such an open position. You can always create batteries, you can always create some wild tactics. So that's why after move bishop to d2, queen to d7 was played by Esipenko, and now bishop to e4. It seems again like a risky choice to give up here the slice with bishop, but still you can lock the light switch with move f3. That's a beautiful move that Hikaru recognized. After move bishop to e4, we have f3 kicking away the bishop, we have bishop to c6, and now rook to c1. And you see now, when we watch now the bishop strength, I think that white's dark square bishop is much better. Here you see it's aiming against this weak square on g7. On the other hand, the black's light square bishop is simply blocked out, and there was now maybe a huge moment now for black in which black could maybe hold this position again with the move b5. I think you have to play now this move b5 because you're not allowing your opponent to play the move b5. If b5 happens, you see, then you could lose also a little bit of the battle on the c file. That was Hikaru Nakamura's preparation here. So b5 would be a necessary move, I think, but here Esipenko plays now rook to e7. We have queen to f4. We have now f6, and again here rook to c4. So Hikaru continues the pressure here with the move rook to c1. He's trying now finally to play the move b5. Again, I think b5 is sort of a move that you have to play in one particular moment, but here in the continuation we have rook to d8, we have rook from f to c1, and now queen to e6. And from this point on, it's almost a one-way ticket because again b5 is a must move that you have to play. You're not allowing here your opponent, you're not allowing white to play the move b5 here. Okay, black can play rook to d4, but okay, here queen to e8 or queen to c8 solves the position at least for a while. But it's still white is slightly better, but not so much, because again we have to understand this position. These are opposite colored bishops, and probably this game should end in a draw. But okay, here after move rook from f to c1, Esipenko plays now huge mistake, queen to e6, and it gives now here Hikaru Nakamura pleasant game b5. We have bishop to b5, and you see now rook to e4 attacking the queen. We can play here rook takes e7, queen to e7, and now with rook to c7. That's exactly what Hikaru Nakamura wanted to get here. His rook is now on the 7th rank, on the most active rank, and from this point on, as I said, it's a completely winning game here for Hikaru. So we have now rook to d7 by Esipenko, we have rook to c8, we have rook to d8, and now a beautiful tactical shot by Hikaru, bishop to f6. Because if you take with the queen, of course, we have queen to f6, then g takes f6, and you lose simply the piece. So that's why you have to take with the pawn. But now queen to g4, brilliant move by Hikaru Nakamura. We have king to f8, and now we have rook takes d8, we have queen to b4, and you see now after this one Hikaru Nakamura has now a completely winning endgame again, because his king is more secured. these are all weaknesses. The pawn on d3, these are weaknesses. This is a weak pawn, this is a weak pawn on h7. So we have now 5 pawn islands. On the other hand, here Hikaru Nakamura, after move queen to a3, has only 1, and the only pawn that we actually have to protect is the pawn d2. So here queen takes a3, we have king to f2 by Hikaru, we have queen to c5, here queen to d3. Finally Hikaru grabs this very important pawn, and as I said, has now a comfortable endgame. So we have now here the move b5, we have queen to c3, queen to e7, and now Hikaru again moves the king here to e2. Nothing can be done, because what Esipenko is a little bit scared of here is the trades of queens. If that happens, then white is much closer to this pawn, so we'll simply push the pawn on d4, and it's simply faster in the attack. So we have now king to g7, queen to d4, and now queen to f7, queen to g4 check, king to h8, and now queen to b4. We have queen to e8, queen to d6, again attacking this f6. We have queen to f7, and here after move queen to c5, again here Esipenko is trying to protect now all of these pawns and hopes to maybe get a draw. So after queen e8, here Hikaru simply pushed the pawn on g4. He's trying, of course, to open files, open diagonals against black's king. The problem is, as we said, black's king is naked, white's king is perfectly fine, secured behind its pawns, so black's queen is helpless here. Even no checks are possible here by the black queen, and what the main strategical goal here for white is, of course, to simply trade off the queen, simplify the game, and go into a favorable endgame. So after move king to g7, here Hikaru Nakamura push simply the pawn to h4. We have a queen to d7, h5, king to g8, and here after move h6 in this position, Andrey Esipenko resigned. So whatever you do, even if you try some ideas like queen to c6, maybe to simplify the game, then queen to e7 is very tricky. You can play again only one check, but no perpetuals. That's the most important thing. So great game, I think, by Hikaru Nakamura. Here it was almost a perfect game. Hikaru played really accurate moves, really aggressive moves, destroyed really this reverse Sicilian setup by Andrey Esipenko. Has now a comfortable situation, because yesterday Hikaru got the draw with the black pieces, and now he won a game with the white pieces, so he has now good position in the continuation of the tournament. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed the game. As a warm-up, it was, I think, a great game. Hikaru Nakamura will have chances, as we said, so he's back really in great shape in classical time format chess. If you want to see some other games that we have analyzed from other tournaments, check out my coverage so far. Here's the link of our playlist with some other great games that we have analyzed in some other tournaments. And if you want to see maybe top engines playing, check out my commented chess games played by computer series with some great games by Stockfish, Alpha Zero, Lila Zero, and many more. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.